Right, so let's just check all the mics are working and everything. Hopefully people can hear me and get some invitations out. So today we're going to talk about JMRI. Let's check my headphones, they're actually doing something. Where's the audio? Where's the test thing? It should be a test, shouldn't it? Okay, yep, that's working. Yep, that's working. Oh, that's all good. Okay, welcome. For those who subscribe to the channel, or even if you don't, you may have noticed recently I've uploaded a video of a model railway exhibition, which I would encourage you to go and have a little look at. And it's from a little while ago, but yeah, hopefully you enjoy that. Today we are going to talk about JMRI, and we will hopefully have Richard and Roy joining us. Send that invite to them now. Okay, now if you want to join in, encourage you to let me know on the chat. I can either email you a link. Please don't put your email address in the chat. If you do want to come in, just let me know. I'll put the link in the chat itself if people want to join. We've got one person watching. Please do comment, and then I'll know who you are, what you're interested in. If you're interested in JMRI, say hi. It'd be good to chat. If you want to come on the live stream, as I say, let us know. Hopefully we'll have some others joining us very shortly. And got an exciting program today, I think. Richard's coming in. There we go. Welcome, Richard. Can I hear you? No, can't hear you at the moment. Is your mic on? No, nothing at all. Hang on a minute. Let's check mic settings. Keep going. Keep talking at me. No, nothing at all, Rich. I did a test myself just now, and I could hear the test okay. I'll run that again just in case. Yeah, my headphones are working fine. So, what's going on? Might be worth. Oh, you can hear me, can you? Yep, but we can't hear you. Must be your mic not switched on. Is it? It's normally working fine, isn't it? Maybe worth disconnecting from the stream and coming back in again. And Roy is also joining us shortly. Hopefully he gets my email. Right, Rich is going to try again. Wonders of technology. This is not the BBC. We apologise for any errors in what we're doing. Yeah, still quiet. Still can't hear you. I'm trying all the mic settings and there's nothing doing anything, Rich. It's yeah, I don't know. Can you do a mic test yourself? Can you hear yourself talking and things? Roy, we can hear.
You can hear me okay, can you?
Good afternoon, Roy. Yeah, I don't know. What's he saying there? He's got a little bit of paper. Put it in the chat, Roy. You can modern technology. I mean, Richard. So type it in the chat. Well, while we're just getting that sorted out, Richard, while you're fiddling, I'll talk about what I've been doing. And I think we talked last week about getting a demo thing so we could try some things out with SSL. And
lots of noise.
Lots of noise.
There's lots of delay.
Okay. Let's have a look. I've got echo cancellation on. What's he saying? It worked. Oh, found error. Plug your mic in. Come on.
No.
No, it's. What was I saying? What's am I looking? You got your fingers on top of something there. What am I looking at? We'll do mic test. Is that it? It worked. I found error. That's what you say? You found the error in the dispatcher panel. Yeah. It's like charades, this, isn't it?
There's a lot of delay.
That could be somebody's internet connection. Anyway, we'll plug on, I think. Hopefully Richard will get his microphone working at some point. Let's go try muting in a meeting. Well, I've tried everything I can now. My end, I can't see anything else I can do, Richard. So, yeah.
John?
Yeah. It's a shame, that.
John?
Yes, that's right. Go on.
I can see your movement of your video, but your words are coming through anything up to 5 seconds later.
No, it's not. Let me. Let's see if I can.
I'll log out.
Yeah, I mean, if everyone makes sure their mobile phones are off, or turn the Wi-Fi off on their mobiles, that will at least limit any other messages attempting to come through and taking bandwidth. And just shut down all the tabs on your laptop, anything extraneous that you're not actually using, so your computer's going as fast as it can. That can help sometimes.
I think
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Yeah, I was pretty sure it was on my end.
Was it?
Yeah.
We've lost Roy suddenly.
Okay, well, he logged out. I figured out the bastard error in why dispatcher wasn't working. I got it working.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, I've battled with it.
Okay, well,
but I can share with you what I have done. But I mean, I think I'd rather hear from your end what you've actually managed to do. It's working now, Roy. Richard's back in and audible, so Richard's going to share.
Yeah,
you're okay. Yeah,
I just had my microphone on the wrong selection. I was pretty sure that's what it was.
Okay, cool.
So it's now working. I had the microphone set on my earphones instead of my camera.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, Richard has shared a panel with me in the week, and I've had quite a play with it. I've actually got, I think it's 8 different versions now going through, but I'm interested to see what you've actually achieved, because
Let me show you.
I was really struggling with some stuff with it, but I have managed to do quite a lot. But anyway, if you share your screen, and then we'll watch what you've been doing.
I figured it out about 5 minutes before you came on. Now I have to have it. Now I have
Okay.
to. Now I have to share the screen. Share screen. Okay. Screen sharing. Share screen. Okay. Share.
Yeah, that's coming up.
Got that? Can you see my screen? Shared screen?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Okay. So let me quit. Panel Pro. Let me set that up now.
While you're opening up, I'll just talk through what the kind of problem was we were seeing.
Yeah.
We have basic, just a straight bit of track with a passing loop, and the issue was to try to get, first of all, the points or turnouts weren't operating, and so hopefully we'll see that happen. But also, it wasn't working in other ways as well, was it? So
yeah. There, that's what I came up with about 5 minutes before you.
Okay, walk us through it. What have you done?
Okay. The problem was in the definition of the sections. Okay, right, what you see is error messages, basically because I don't have any signals on there. I did something quick and dirty. I redefined a new thing, did it from scratch. And my first attempt from doing it from scratch was I wound up with the same problems as we had the other day when I could only get over to this part of the thing. Okay, so what I did was the following. 1 second. How do I bring that up now? There we are. I got too many screens running. Dispatcher transits there. Sections. The right-hand section edit. There. That's the whole problem in the right-hand section.
Yeah, I did find this.
I reversed.
You had them backwards.
I had them backwards.
Yeah.
The problem was I had them backwards, but it was defined in the correct way. But I've got to get them in this order, and there's a message at the bottom. Note, forward and travel direction is from the top block towards the bottom block.
Yeah.
And once I did that, I got the results.
Yeah. Yeah.
It only took us a few hours. So what I did, I did a quick and dirty thing. As you can see, it's called, SSL. This is the name of the computer it's on. SSL with SSL. And this is the date, which was, I set it up last night, 21/05/11. And so what I'll do now is go to my main SSL thing and reverse it. And I have all the lights and everything on that. So it should work now.
I'm interested to see if it does, because I think you may still hit issues. Carry on.
I might hit issues. One of the issues I avoided from what you said is that instead of, I asked it to allocate all the blocks possible instead of allocating just one block or two blocks.
Yeah, so because Roy, I mean, we talked about, I think we talked about this before, but I'm sure I've mentioned it, but there is a bug at the moment in JMRI with allocating only a number of sections.
Yeah.
It it messes up somehow. It doesn't like that feature, so we're avoiding that.
Yeah, well, I'll get this working. Now what I want to do is reverse it. I'll reverse them on my other panel and see if that works. But I believe it will. But because before I reverse it on this panel, I had the same problems as we had the other night on the other panel.
Okay. Let me share with you then what I've managed to do, if that's all right.
Okay.
I'll start. There's a kind of a process that we were going through, and I've gone through a process as well. But in stage by stage, I've got further along, but it's not without some pain. Now, I'm interested in one thing before I go on.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't, because I use signal masks, I hadn't particularly noticed a couple of things. So if you click on your options in Dispatcher.
At the moment, it's still showing Richard's shared screen.
Yes, yeah, carry on, Richard. We'll keep yours up there for a moment until I'm in the right place.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just click on, if you look at options. Just wanted to highlight this actually, because it's in Dispatcher.
Yeah, I'm in Dispatcher there.
You're in Dispatcher. Yep. Okay, so sorry. Your screen's very small for me because I haven't got the full. I'll resize that. I don't know. Okay. I can do that. That's easy. Right. Can you see there? There is an option checkbox for just near the top there. Second checkbox down. Add direction sensors to SSL if missing.
Right.
Now, I hadn't noticed that before, but what this does, even if you've got no direction sensors in your signal logic, it will attempt, well, it will just go in, add, if you've got that checked, it will go and add in your direction sensors into your signal logic. Now, that was causing me problems because it doesn't seem, to me anyway, to necessarily get it right. But I'm intrigued as to whether you think it might be right.
I'll have to test it.
Yeah.
My concentration up to now was one, to get my signal mask logic working, which it does. By working, I mean it interfaces with the real signals on my real layout. That works. And it works in the simulation. And the second thing was to get Dispatcher working. I'm pretty well convinced I've got Dispatcher working now.
Yeah.
So I'll be going out to Normandy tomorrow, which means this afternoon I have to pack. And I'll have more free time in Normandy. And as I say, we have ADSL, so I don't know what the communications will be there until I get there.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Okay.
Now.
But I slept well this morning a bit when I got this working. It's a complicated bit of software. Yeah, and I saw your thing, Roy, on the operations thing.
Sorry?
And I saw your thing there where you wanted, where you were favorable to the Zoom thing on Operations Pro.
Oh yeah, on the user group, you mean?
Yeah. Did you see my comment afterwards?
No, I've not looked since.
Okay, my comment was essentially that there is Europe between Australia and the state of Maine, and there are a couple of us in Europe. I
Okay,
have
can you see?
a lousy sense of humor. I see everything perfectly.
Right.
Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, you might recognize it. I
I
was
know.
interested.
It's
Sorry, Richard.
completely foreign. I don't recognize it. It's completely
It's
foreign.
yours. Okay, so what you have, if I click reset, that does reset a certain amount, but we had added on some extra bits and bobs afterwards, which were not included, and I'm just clicking on those sensors now just to deactivate them. Now, at this point, what I had also done is added in, if I create a new train, right. So what we do is we place the train in the transit where we're starting, which is the left block. So that block has to be occupied.
Right.
And oops. And then I'm going to run from the left to the right as far as possible. I'm going to run it automatically. I'm going to make sure I set my ramp rate to medium slow. Now the critical thing, which I was missing at first, and I think it's because you're N gauge and I'm 00.
It's possible.
So anyway, your maximum train length, I'm putting that at a really low level of 2, which I think represents 2 feet of actual, I don't know. Anyway.
Okay, I work in meters.
Or 2 meters, is it? Wow. Okay,
I have no idea.
Anyway, as you can see now, so we have some allocated track space, but the first turnout isn't set. So if I click on it and change it, we get a green signal ahead. So in theory, that would now run forward, but it's not going. And the reason it's not going, well, if you look at the throttle, here's my auto train throttle window. It's actually ramping up the throttle at the moment, so it should be starting to move. But we need to run the script to actually, if we're going to automatically advance the train on through the blocks, we need to run the auto train simulator pi script. So that is in, if you go into scripting, run script, and then it's find auto active train underscore simulator dot pi. You can just double click on that. Well, you can double click on it if I do it quick enough. That will then run in the background that thread, and it advances it every 2 seconds. So you can see now that that train has advanced from one end all the way to the other end.
Yeah.
It's got there and stopped. Now, the turnout at the end is showing as occupied as well as the end section.
Yeah, that's because both. That's because both blocks are in the same section.
Okay.
And transits look at sections.
There's an interest. I mean, it does get interesting here as to how you need to set things up, how you might want to set things up. But the signals here, V3 and V4,
are for leftwards movement.
Yeah. Presumably, though, these signals are physically located before this turnout.
Agreed, because they're at the block boundary.
Yeah. So, in fact, the straight on main route, which is the first
is
head
V3.
there,
that's
is V3,
yeah,
which is showing yellow at the moment, is a little bit odd because in a sense the block boundary is here, but that point is showing as occupied.
No, what it's showing, okay. The black boundary is where you have your cross. Agreed. The switch block is occupied. Therefore, V3 should be okay. There's a problem there. I can see. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if the problem. I'm wondering if that problem would be solved by attaching, instead of defining my right hand sector, including the switch, if I should not attach the switch to either to the main or to the side.
I mean, at the moment, it looks like it's attached to the right-hand side block.
It is.
But it does what that ends up doing with these signals. I mean, I think if these signals were further back here and there was more track this way, off to the right, so if there was another block here, and these signals were actually on the block boundary here.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I agree.
Then what we're saying is the junction's occupied by this method. So any train in here is actually occupying the junction. As soon as it's got into its safe section in the station or wherever it's going beyond, then you can say the junction's clear. Because you've tied in where it's finishing with the junction, it means effectively what's happening is we're blocking the junction from being able to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
We can't really change the points if the junction's occupied.
The two options is the way I see it. There's two options. The first option is what you just said: inserting a small block between at the switch, right after the throat of the switch. The second option that one should try is what would happen if we attach the switch either to the main block or to the side block.
Yeah. Now, I've assumed that we're going to go with because in my next version,
let me write that down. One of the things I want to check. So I would say switch attachment.
Is that making sense to you, Roy?
Not really. I mean, it's
you got any questions?
John,
Steve G. G's on. We've got Steve G on the chat, who's one of the experts on JMRI. So he's saying, okay, to scale feet. I think that was the question of whatever. You create a block at the switch with an internal sensor, yeah, and the end block becomes an internal sensor as well. Okay, that's another way of doing it. You'll be very welcome, Steve, if you want to come on the live stream chat. Give us a thumb up if you do, and I'd be lovely to have you on board, because I really would welcome your comments going through as we look a bit further at this. So.
I mean, it's interesting to listen to, but it's way beyond what I've even started on yet. I've only done a single end-to-end with about 6 blocks or 7 blocks in it.
Well, that's
just a single track.
That's why I suggested that you should put in at least one switch. You discover all sorts of interesting problems.
Well, I've not even got it to the point where I can do an end-to-end yet, which is the first part, which is on signals using SML. It's only what I picked up when I had a chat with Neil in the last week, whenever it was.
Yeah.
And he showed me a few bits, but I've not actually got to the point whereby I've got anything working yet. So this is all beyond my level at the moment.
Working? What do you mean by working? On your own track? On your track or simulation?
Initially simulation.
Okay.
And effectively putting setting the sensors on and off as I'm going through the tracks. I've not done anything like, I mean, that'd be good, which is to do the auto train as John just done. But again, I've never touched anything like that. I'm very new to this part of it, so I don't really fully understand the signalling or the terms. Yeah.
Well, I think, what some things might become clearer as we're kind of going through a little bit. Steve G's putting lots of comments. Steve putting lots of comments on there.
I don't see any of his comments. How do I get the comment screen up?
Should be. Are you on full screen?
I'm on. Exit.
You go down. Screen. Go back to normal screen.
I'm on. It's okay.
Right.
I'm seeing him. The end block becomes an eternal sensor as well. When the okay, I see what he's saying.
He's just showing you how you can move the train on through the blocks. I think that's right, Steve.
Oh, the problem is blocks. Basically, a train should go into a block. If you start putting small, tiny little blocks in there, you're going. It's going to create intellectual problems.
It's going to create what? Sorry.
Problems intellectually, because you have blocks. Because you
creates a pseudo block for the switch. Steve's saying. I'm not quite sure I'm following what you're saying, Steve. Right. If I share my screen again, this is the next version I was going to.
Yeah.
So I'll just reset. Okay, so we're going to run from left to right. Can everyone see what I'm doing?
Yeah.
Run the train automatically. I'm not too worried what option I use in there. Just get that length down a bit. Right, now that, okay, so that's allocated. I'm going to run the auto train simulator. Throttle's at 28%. 2%. Oh, it's suddenly caught up. Something's going a little bit slow in the system. It's now progressed it through to the right-hand end.
Well, there's another problem that I can see. The train winds up in the right-hand block, and now I want to reverse the bloody thing, but I want to reverse it onto the siding. I need to be able. Yeah. I don't want the switch in that block.
No. I'm going to quit out that and go into the next version, because that version I've saved several versions, and that one's not really showing much advance on the previous one. So bear with me a second.
Now I see what Steve is driving at.
Right. I thought it'd be nice to have several different versions, but now I should have made a note to myself as to what my versions contained. I thought I'd be able to spot it easily, but anyway. I'm going to try this, restart at end, no delay, reverse, and
Whoops.
okay.
Something happened. You've allocated.
It looks like it's allocated the other one as well at this point. Now, I was getting into a bit of a mess here with signals because I think what I need to do is I'll move on to the very last one I did, and then because there were issues going all the way through, and I'm not being very coherent just talking as I am at the moment. So I'll do the last one I've got to. If somebody can keep an eye on the chat while I'm doing this, because I can't see the chat. If anyone's commenting.
It hasn't moved.
Okay. Okay, I'm leaping forward to my last version. You may see a comment on the screen there.
It hasn't moved.
Right,
No additional.
Okay. I mean, actually on the panel now. Can you see the panel?
Yes.
Yeah. It's very small though. Just a minute. Let's go to full screen.
I'll zoom in a bit.
That's it. Right, that's better. Need to open it up a bit then now.
I'll stretch that right hand end. Oh, that's probably because there's a scroll bar somewhere. Not got any scroll bars. Did you remove scroll bars? Where are the scroll bars? No scroll bar. No scroll bars. Both scroll bars. That's better. Right. So
okay.
I'll have to zoom out again. It's just not quite. Anyway, right. I have added another button for. Well, I did two more buttons. One is reset everything. So I just click on. I'm just running I'm using Logix to activate two scripts, which just set all the turnout straight and set all the sensors to inactive.
Okay.
It just means every time you change anything, you don't need to update the routes thing which you're using. I mean, every time you add a sensor or play with anything, you have to go in and make a change. But if you use the scripts for doing that, it doesn't. You don't have to change anything.
What's the script name? Do you remember?
Yeah. It's so if I look at tables, Logix. So I've got reset everything Logix, and in here there's conditional called reset everything, and under there, when that sensor goes active, it runs two scripts. So set all unknown sensors to inactive.py, which is in the scripts file folder, and set all turnouts closed.py. And those are just two of the bog standard scripts that you can use.
Yeah.
So if you're in there wanting to set that up, there's this button with 3 dots, which is actually the folder selection button.
Yeah.
So if you use that, you can go in and find all the scripts in there.
Yeah. Okay.
It takes you straight into the scripts folder, and just choose those. And so you can just drop them in. So you don't need to type it in there. You can just click and drag and drop it into the field.
Yeah.
And then it'll be there. So update, and that will do it.
Well, I'll try that at some point in Normandy.
Yeah. And I've got the for running the auto train simulator, for getting the blocks to activate. I've just put a sensor on, done the same sort of thing with that.
What about the setting up of the actual information from the dispatcher before you actually run the auto train? Do you still have to do that manually?
Right, yes, going into dispatcher itself to create the new train, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was trying to avoid using the load, because at the top here you've got load train info and save train info. Right. I'm trying to avoid talking about that at the moment because I've experienced some issues with it.
No, what I was really asking, do you still have to do that at this stage before you use the auto train?
Well, the auto train relies on a dispatcher, this dispatcher panel being open, and then if you're using auto train, which is run train automatically, if I'm doing that, that sets up the auto train. Right. So I'm saying that the train is in the transit. I'm choosing the transit first of all. We've only got one here. I'm choosing my train, and then I'm saying it's in the transit. And it's going from left to right, and we're going to go as far as possible. And I want to restart when done. I'll just have no delay at the moment, reverse at end, just to show ramp rates.
Yeah, so what I was saying is, do you have to go into this part to set all this up before you switch?
What I'm saying is, if you've saved it, saved train info, then you don't need to do, you still have to load it, but there's a problem with the saving info and loading it from the saved info.
I haven't had that problem.
So that's why I'm avoiding using that, because it's not always working properly for me.
I've used it without any problem.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, okay, but I'm seeing some issues. But anyway, we can come on to that later. But so basically, I'm setting it up. No train in the starting block. Have I not put?
You have to put
there? No, I haven't. Put it in.
Yeah.
Create. Okay. So here we go. And now I want to run my auto train simulator. Now I'm not using the bog standard one. I've altered the script to make it 6 seconds rather than 2 between activating sections, because 2 is rather fast. And that still looks like 2, doesn't it?
That still looks like 2 to
me. Genius. I'm absolutely genius. So I think this was...
It's going backwards now.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. It's releasing things.
That's going backwards and forwards.
Yeah, and the lights are working. My signals are working.
Yeah. What I've done there is I've made the 2 points their own sections.
Yeah.
I've got every block is its own section, so I've got no multiple block sections, which
that was one of the solutions I thought.
It does upset things sometimes. I mean, sometimes under some, if you're just going long distance and you've got multiple, it's not an issue. But when you come to junctions and things, and particularly if you're ending near a junction, then it does seem to prefer.
do you normally have a signal in red at the end of the blocks at the both ends?
That's what
yes.
I have. I
Yeah,
have put
isn't
a
that
permanent signal there.
right?
It was
Now, just a
virtual.
quick question then on the either end. Then obviously that's bi-direction. So if you take the left end at the moment and you've got V2, is it, or V1 and V2?
Yeah.
That those two signals, or it's one signal. Well, is that a S? Oh, it's an SSL. Right, that's going effectively from right to left, or is it left to right? The way that signals are shown at the moment.
Right, these are for going from left to right. So
and when you come in the other way, do you have to have any, don't you normally have signals there as well, right to left? Before
this is the signal coming the other way.
Yeah, that's correct.
The signals here are not British practice, Richard. They're
right.
They're on the right of the track, which is American or some other practice.
That's what I'm getting confused.
Yeah, it is like if you're thinking it's British, it isn't quite.
It is right. It's European, right?
Yeah. But anyway, the principles are similar. So at the moment, it's just stopped, and I'm not quite sure why. Thread's still going, but it just seems to have gone to the end there and decided it's giving up the ghost. Try to look in the console. Yeah, sorry. There's this strange roster entry, which might be playing things up still. But yeah, if you look, I'm double clicking on this 08116 here, and it's got all this text in here, and I think that's causing. That was that odd roster entry you had, Richard?
Not mine. That's yours.
No, that was yours, wasn't it?
I don't have. No, I have no zero. I really don't think so.
Came with your file originally. we discussed it. It was to do with one of your decoder.
Yeah,
devices.
but it wasn't that entry. It was something else.
Oh, well, it wasn't 08116. No, okay, no, it was something else. Yeah, it's just that's true. That's true.
Yeah, my entry had a DK 514 or something.
Yeah, but I think what I was saying was because it had all the brackets and stuff in there, it was upsetting the code somewhere to.
It could be
corrupt it, basically.
Yeah. Switches always corrupt things.
Anyone know why it's not going anywhere?
No clue. I don't even know how you got to that part.
Give it a kick in the rear end.
Well, I mean, if you see my note NB here, bug when reallocating main after alternate. I'm going to just get rid of that a moment and reset that. Let's terminate that train, and let's rebuild. So I don't know what's gone on there. So I'll put the train at the left-hand end again, and I'm wondering if now it will be a bit better behaved. As soon as I've corrected various things, we'll put a time delay in of 1 minute. Now, okay, run the auto train simulator again. Okay, so we're going off down to the right.
Why has all the 08116s all appeared from right to left when it was starting to go from left to right to left?
That means the block is occupied or allocated for the train 8116.
Yeah. What I've got
And then
there,
as it's-
you missed that, Roy. Sorry. Yeah, you didn't see what this was about, and I meant to mention it. If you go into your panel edit options, and these little, you can hardly see them, but when they've got some content in, they appear.
What are they though? What
What
are
they
they?
are is your block over here. You've got
block
block
contents. Okay, right. So in other words, that's where they actually appear, where you actually put the block physically.
That's so that I'm not sure I
When
follow
you
what
say
you're
block,
asking.
if you click on the block contents now,
There.
and then you got a drop down. Right,
Yeah.
now those items, when you select any one of them, yeah,
Yeah. If I select SW1.
how do you physically? Is it just like the normal method of?
No, but yeah, shift and click.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's what I
But
meant.
there is a trick here,
But it's
which I was discussing
invisible.
with Richard, because when you shift and click, well, if there's something in the block and you're lucky, it will show up. But if otherwise, it comes up with a tiny little square, which sometimes you can't even see.
Right.
And yeah, but what I do normally is change those to have a border on them, so that kind of fix, so that it actually shows up as a little white square. Because when you're out of edit mode, there's nothing on there's nothing on the screen at all to see where they are, and it's actually quite handy, because if you double click on one, like
You
here,
can
now it's still showing all that rubbish in it. Yeah, it's going in there.
Okay.
But that might upset things doing that. I don't know.
All right, I know what you mean now. That's okay.
At the moment, the train's running up and down quite happily, isn't it?
Seems to be.
No. What I'm going to do, playing devil's advocate, because I'm going to pretend that there's a train in this section here.
And it's found the bypass.
Well, it has, but this point at the moment is wrong.
Yeah.
Now, that's because I've put an interlocking on that point.
Right.
And I could do that. You might think, well, the train should go now. And in fact, if we look at the...
well, interlocking, what you're doing is have the two switches interlocked. So if one is thrown, the other gets thrown.
While I'll discuss this in a little bit in a moment, because there's quite a few things that come up on that point. Right, at the moment, the throttle is saying it's at 0. It's not going anywhere. Now, this bug relates to these alternative tracks. In fact, that's throwing it maybe
okay. You had
additional error, because if I click on, because the original route was straightforward, the upper of these two heads here, I think it's looking at that one. So if I right click on, left click on that, yeah, it's going now. Look, there's an issue there with when you're using alternative sections as to which head the automatic allocator is looking at. It's looking at the wrong head sometimes. Once it's done it once, it's now knowing that that's the head it's got to refer to. It's got the right one. But the first time, well, if I take this out of here, we'll see that happen now. Right, it's allocated through there. I'll set this point, okay, but again, the throttle's not going up. And again, that's because the lower head here is red, because it's not set for the diverging route. But that's where it had been going previously. And if I click on that, the throttle goes up, which is wrong. So that is a bug somewhere.
All right. Okay.
With alternative sections, yeah, something to watch out for. Because if you think your train should actually just go on, then it's...
Yeah, I've seen the label. I haven't tried alternative sections yet.
No. I thought I'd have some fun.
Well, as I say, I wanted to get the non-alternative stuff working.
Yeah. there's several. Sorry, Richard.
I progress logically.
Yeah. What I ended up doing is in the option. Oops. Just ignore that for a moment.
Ooh.
In dispatcher options, I have definitely removed this add direction sensors to SSL. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't, and if I go into edit mode, if I right click on one of these lights and look at the logic, then I've only got the blocks in here. I've not got any of the forward and reverse sensors actually coming up in here. So there is actually an option to
they come up elsewhere.
Tools.
They come up in the either the sections table, I think, or the transit table.
Yeah, if you go to sections under tools, you can set direction sensors in SSL, and you can remove direction sensors from SSL. Now,
I'm not sure for why they serve for the moment. To me, at the moment, all I seem to see is that they're indicators, but I don't know what's behind. I have no idea what they control.
Well, if I set direction sensors, I'll do that now. Okay, so it says set direction sensors placed in signal logic with no errors or warnings. Fantastic. Okay, so if we look at what's happening on the panel now, our signals have gone to red.
Yeah, okay.
Which ain't really quite what we really wanted. I mean, I would hope that it would recognise the direction sensors, because they seem to be correct. I mean, the allocations are all happening correctly.
Which are direction sensors? The two little dots.
These pairs of sensors here.
And are those simulated sensors?
Yes, yes.
I mean, everything's simulated because we're using the simulator. So,
what actually triggers those, though? What controls those?
Right. Well, I mean, because they're internal sensors rather than external sensors, there are no external sensors for those. So, what they are triggered by is the allocator setting the allocation through the blocks and using the sections and transits to decide which blocks it's doing and which direction. So
I think so, yeah.
Right. Well, at the moment, we've got forward and reverse sensors, and the left-hand one is the forward, and the right-hand one is the reverse for that section.
Yeah.
So each section has a forward and reverse sensor. So, and they're also active when they're off, which is very confusing sometimes. So what this is saying, that the one which is active here is the right-hand sensor, which is the reverse. So at the moment, the allocation is saying that it's active in reverse. Does that make sense?
No. To me, it'd be saying it's active in forward. Well, sorry, which is your forward and reverse?
Right, the forward is the left-hand one, and the right-hand one is reverse. So
it's active in the forward position then?
No, because what I just said, Roy, is that these sensors are active when they're off. So this one is off, so this one is active.
Right,
now,
okay.
What happens is this: if we look at a signal here, we're going to edit mode. If we just go into the logic, just see what's happening there.
When you define the sections, you also define what your forward and what your reverse sensor is.
Yeah, put those in the section.
They're defined in the section table.
Yeah.
If I look at the sensor table,
it's not. Yeah, Richard, it's not absolutely necessary to put those in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I look at the sensor table, Each sensor, you can invert the logic. There's a logic button. And if people who did it correctly, normally things are active or lit. You'd have to check the checkbox on the logic section in the sensor table.
I'm not following you, Richard. Sorry.
Go into the sensor. Look at the sensor table.
It's inverting the state of the sensor, being active or not active with the inversion bit.
Right.
Okay.
And you see the end of the inversion.
Between the delete and edit.
Sorry, one person at a time.
Yeah, between the delete and the edit is the inversion checkbox.
Between delete and edit. Oh, this one. Yeah.
Yes.
Those are the inversions.
Okay. Yeah.
And I get to do that on some of my sensors because they are active low.
Yeah, you can do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I clicked them in.
Richard's saying.
Yeah, I clicked them in for the infrared sensors, which I don't have. I clicked them. I put them in version. I inverted them because that normally the infrared is always active unless it's cut off by a train or something. So you need to invert the meaning.
Oh, I see. That's useful.
Yeah, so try clicking. If you click inversion for the reverse and forward sensors, that should do the trick.
It's what Steve has just said there. It's commented on it, where they indicate this section has been allocated and in what direction it has been allocated. And the sensors so inactive, like occupancy, means it's safe. That makes sense. Yeah. It's okay.
I mean, at the moment, the default is for them to be active when they're off. So what this is saying at the moment is that this allocation is active in a reverse direction all the way through. The right-hand one, which is reverse, is off.
Yeah.
So now what happens with the signals, though, is that when you look at the signal logic, because we added the we clicked on that tool just now for adding direction sensors to SSL.
Yeah.
You can see here, and we've now got, apart from the block occupancy, which is this sensor, we've also got FW3 and RV4. Now, why is that looking at FW3 and RV4? This is the lower head here. FW3 is this one.
Yeah.
It's looking at that sensor there. And RV4 is that one there. So it's looking at the reverse sensor in this block and this one here. And it would expect, so if I go turn that off and turn that off.
It goes. That's a bit odd.
Well, I don't get it. Because why would it be wanting to look at those two for, maybe I'm just stupid or something.
No, they're not related,
A brief comment.
Yeah.
While I filled out RV, I was the one that entered RV4. On the other hand, I did not enter the values of forward and 3 and reverse 4. That was done by the software.
Right. Which I kind of suspected, because Dispatcher does that with that checkbox automatically. And if you're not understanding what that's doing or what those sensors are in there for, then it can really chuck you apart, because I'm looking at this, and I've been looking at this all morning trying to figure out why it would be doing what it's doing. Now, in a way, I can kind of think, right, what it's doing is stopping signals clearing if for auto trains, if the section's not allocated. But it doesn't seem to be looking in SSL anyway. In signal mask logic, this actually does work. But in SSL, the sensors which it's putting in there, either it's using the wrong ones, or I'm misunderstanding what it should be doing, and we're setting it up wrong. So my recommendation, guys, is to go to your sections, go to your tables sections, and go to tools and remove direction sensors from logic. And do that, and then let's go back to our nice clean panel and see if our train runs nice and sweetly without any problems. Okay. I don't know what the purpose of having something. I mean, okay, there's potential for conflict when you have multiple trains. So you want to know if routes ahead are allocated to different trains. But for this level of things, it seems to be introducing more confusion. I'd be interested for Steve G to comment on all of this.
Yes, go.
I was going to come back to the main screen because, okay, let's have a look. See what was he saying?
Yeah, he just said that. Well, you can read it, obviously. Every time it generates or so.
They are okay. They are guard sensors, so inactive, like occupancy, means it's safe.
No,
yeah.
okay.
So every time it generates SSL, it adds, never removes old values. So if you set update SSL manually, and then automatically you can get conflicting logic.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
the one that I looked at with Neil was to go with SML rather than SSL.
That's single mass logic, yeah.
Yeah, I realise that. But I mean, are you saying now to go down the SSL route rather than the SML route as a preference?
I'm just saying, be aware of what this is doing. In terms of adding those those, as Steve calls them, guard sensors in.
Yeah, but would that also happen in SML if you were doing that same function in SML or that same layout?
Before next week.
That's one of the things I'm going to be exploring.
Yeah. Before next week, I'm going to have a look again at my own stuff because I don't recall seeing that option. But I mean, maybe there is, automatically add the SML logic, but it certainly is. There's a whole other process involved in signal masts for adding logic and things.
Maybe Steve can comment on this, what we call in the logic's next generation. Is that going to have any effect?
Well, that's another step down the road, and we can certainly have a look at that at some point. But I need to familiarize myself with that at the moment. And last time I looked, it wasn't as intuitive as I thought it might be at the first off. But I haven't looked properly at it yet. But,
well, I think from my point of view, I need to get just to the very basics of just having an end-to-end that's hitting. I have generated a bit of a thing, but at the moment, what we're talking about now is way beyond what I've thought about or got. It's just too much.
Permit me to disagree with you. What you need to, the end-to-end is too basic. What you need to do is use something like the demo I have with at least a pair of switches in order to get things going.
Yeah, I can appreciate that. What I want to do is get, step by step. So if I can do an end-to-end first of all, and then introduce perhaps it's just a single siding first, and then a passing loop. To get used to it in the first place. So
you add your blocks, add the sections. If you do one section per block, I mean, the only tricky thing about adding sections is getting the direction right.
Yeah.
Because what you have to do is ensure working out which is left and which is right, or
Well, they
west
call
or
it east and west.
East and west, yeah. Because
Yeah.
when it says entering from, if you look in that, I mean, is it worth us opening that page up and going into that?
Well, what I was going to say, I mean, if anything, I'd like to have a sort of thing, either one-on-one or whatever, to actually clarify that, like I did with Neil, you know, because I don't want to tie up everybody's interest in different things. You know?
I mean, I'm happy to look at that now. If you want to, if you're Richard, are you happy with that as well?
Sure. I just want to stress to Roy that the main reason I started off with SSL is because I had a tutorial with that. Second, it was much simpler to get the real signals as opposed to the simulated signals working in SSL. I have yet to be, unless I use a signal head parameter in SML, I have not been able to get the SML to work.
You mean with hardware?
Yes, that's the thing, because I'm always hopping back and forth between hardware and software.
Right, okay.
And one of the things you have is very often, in terms of hardware, black boxes, the addresses for signals are in the same space as the physical addresses for the switches, which is why I started off with the putting switches in before I even attempted to try signals.
Right,
And that should be the same if you're using Arduino or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
My switches are address 1 and 2 in the space. My signals start off at address 33.
Okay.
We can delve into that, I think, a bit more in the future, Richard. What I'm looking at the moment, this is sections. So if we were to add a new section,
I'm just. What
can you
is
see that?
No, we've not got anything shared at the moment. It's just a screen.
Oh, sorry.
I have infinite depth of screens.
Oh, sorry. Well, let's try this way. Can you see that now?
Yeah.
Yep, no problem.
Okay. You might not see pop-ups and things. That's the only thing. So we're adding a section. Put a section name in. Let it automatically generate the system name, and then we choose our blocks. So if I want to go from the left block, I put in left, and now it's saying block entering. This is the table of entry points. It's this is the only really confusing bit in the whole of transits and sections is this section here. Block entering from. Okay, so block SW1 west, entry block left, travel direction reverse. Now what on earth's going on there? And then you've got forward sensors, reverse sensors, forward stopping, reverse stopping. What do we mean by all of this? Well,
exactly. Yeah.
You know, I mean, if I look at if I do click on this.
Left is only connected to SW1, so you can't add anything else to it.
Can't add anything else, no.
Yeah.
But anyway, what I'm looking at here is this is saying, okay, what if we're entering from block SW1 west? Where is that? West is your left hand going out, and right is east is your right hand going out, isn't it? So west is the west hand end of that block, and it would be entering from the west end of that block. Now, you've got to think like that in terms of which way would the train be entering the block or going into the next block. And then once you kind of get your head into that mode of thinking, which end of the piece of track is it actually entering from, then these forward and reverse things. Now, what you have to do is just when you're initially building your sections is to be consistent with the travel direction. That's the most important thing.
That's why I have reverse and forward on the layout.
Yeah. So, you then have the choice to choose forward and reverse. Now, it doesn't matter, but I would suggest if your panel is laid out horizontally, that west is west and east is east, forward is traveling from left to right, and reverse is traveling from right to left. That's kind of a natural way of thinking. We tend to read that way. So a train traveling forward is going from the left-hand end to the right-hand end.
Well, I've done the total opposite on that. My forward is going from right to left. But
it doesn't matter.
That's on my end-to-end forward and backwards thing,
It doesn't matter a jot.
That's why I have on my screen the definition. Reverse is going from right to left and forward is going from left to right. It doesn't matter. It just has to be. It just has to be consistent. That's all.
Just saying, that's what I've done. But anyway,
I mean, once you kind of do that, you're starting to make progress.
There's an exception. The exception is if you have a circular route, and then you have to define clockwise and counterclockwise, and make one of those forward and reverse, and you have to be consistent there.
Yeah.
And Steve's commenting, no, he says, he's getting upset now. Never trust the west, north, east. It's a best guess.
Oh, right.
Quite sure. Does anyone
really
quite understand what Steve's saying?
No, he's saying it's really confusing, a circular layout.
No, you just
confusing circular.
You just have to define it once and for all, and so you don't make mistakes. It's on the panel indicating that reverse goes from right to left and forward goes from left to right. I could have defined them another way.
I think Steve is making a good point, Richard, because saying on a round to round one, you see, if you've got a train which starts at the top and it's going forward, as it goes around that left hand end and it's now going forward, it's going the opposite direction.
It is not confusing. If you have a circular track, what you do is define clockwise and counterclockwise. That's evident.
Yeah.
And what is not evident, you put on top or on the bottom, as you wish, the label forward and reverse.
Absolutely.
And then you associate that with that. There is no confusion.
Right. No, you're right.
Okay.
You're right.
I'm a physicist.
Right. Okay. I'm going to have to go. We've been on for an hour and 20 minutes, so
it's flown past. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Steve, as well. In the background there.
Thanks, Steve.
If you'd like to join us, if you'd like to join us, Steve, in future with actual on the live stream, then let us know. I have had an update to my job status situation almost, in as much as I have an interview tomorrow, and it will involve, if I get the post, it will involve me initially working normal hours, and then but Monday to Friday, and then after that I'll be on a 4 day on, 4 day off shift, which basically is going to pay to having these regular live streams on a Wednesday afternoon for some while. It might be possible to do them in the evening, but if I'm on a 10-hour day, which I will be after a month, then I'll be not able to
No.
But it's all depends on me getting the job tomorrow. So
Okay.
Right, okay.
we'll have to look at alternatives.
Yeah.
I'm completely flexible since I don't work. I do get tired in the evening. I do get tired in the evening, but I don't work.
Yeah. But evenings get quite busy for me with the family and things. So
Well, that's
finding
it.
space to do it.
I get quite involved in the evenings as well. Right, okay.
Yeah.
I'll speak to you again soon. I'll speak to you shortly, John, anyway. So
Yeah, all right.
I'll
All the
give
best,
you a
mate.
call.
Thanks.
Right. Cheers. See you, Richard. Have a nice holiday.
Okay. Well, what I'll try and do, what'll be interesting is I'll be in Normandy tomorrow evening. So
Right.
if you're, I might try and set up a Zoom thing with you, John, to see how that works on Friday. If you're available, we can decide on the time, or it can be done on Saturday or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know when I start, if I do start. So
Okay. Well, we can handle that part of it by email.
Okay.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Okay.
All right, well,
I have a
cheers.
good email.
All the best, Richard. We'll catch up, as you say.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Happy holidaying.
Thanks. I'm glad I got the bastard solved with the
Okay.
with the things. Now I have a lot of other work to do.
It's slowly catching monkey, and it's
But until I got that part of it solved, there was no way I could advance to the other things. Now I can.
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool.
All the best, Sam.
Bye
Bye for now. Cheers.